Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alana Dillon. I'm the Education and Support Services Coordinator with Parkinson Society BC. Welcome, everyone, to our Drumming for Parkinson's series information session with Doug Pickard. You'll see him there. He's on camera. But before we start and I pass it over to Doug, I wanted to remind everyone that registration for the 30th Annual Parkinson Super Walk is now open. And as part of this year's event, we will be offering monthly exercise and fundraising challenges with Walk Weekend taking place on September 12th and 13th. And the funds raised from Super Walk, they help us continue to put on education events like the Parkinson Society BC webinars you've been attending. And we really encourage you to visit www.parkinson.bc.ca/superwalk to learn more about it and to register. And you'll see that I have posted it at the very top. You'll see the blue link there, or you can copy and paste it into your browser. You are free to do that after the webinar, and it will take you there. So again, that's Super Walk Weekend. It's on September 12th and 13th. And I would now like to introduce Doug Pickard. Doug is a Remo Health Rhythms facilitator and Rocksteady Boxing affiliate owner. Doug, welcome, and thank you for doing this information session for us on how people can drum for Parkinson's in the upcoming drumming classes. I'll now pass it over to you.
Thank you very much, Alana. And I want to thank everybody for taking time out of your afternoon to join this webinar and hear a little bit about something new. It's drumming in Parkinson's disease. It's perhaps a connection that you haven't really thought of before, but the fact that you've all signed up, there must be some interest in it. So that I'm just absolutely thrilled that we were able to do this today. My name is Doug Pickard. I live in Parksville, BC on Vancouver Island. And I've been working with people with Parkinson's for about the last 12, 13 years as an exercise specialist. And initially it was just with one person. And from there I expanded to create my own little exercise group way back in the day, long before Rocksteady Boxing or anything else came about. But very quickly became really intrigued with the effects of exercise and other treatments for people with Parkinson's disease. And anything new that came along, I jumped on board to get certified and trained in, such as the power moves with Becky Farley out of the University of Arizona. I became a power moves instructor, and then I became a Rocksteady Boxing affiliate owner. I went down to Indianapolis for the training, and it really opened up my eyes to some new possibilities. And I've been doing the Rocksteady Boxing classes for about the last 4 years. I was the 10th affiliate in Canada, so I was very excited to kind of be new to that, and still continuing on with that. We do boxing classes 5 days a week, but I've always been a drummer. I've always been a musician, very interested in rhythm in general, and it just seemed like a natural fit, rhythm and Parkinson's disease, especially with a lot of the motor symptoms with freezing and problems with gait. So I started thinking, well, there must be a connection here, and some possible benefits of drumming and percussion and rhythm for people with Parkinson's. So I wanted to look a little deeper into that, and started using drums in my Parkinson's Rocksteady classes just to help people with their walking gait. And I was hitting different rhythms and having them walk in time with that. And we had some great results. So I wanted to look a little deeper. So I went down to Portland, Oregon, and got trained as a Remo Health Rhythms facilitator, which I did just before the pandemic hit. So I was very lucky to be able to travel to the States. I think it's going to be a long time before that's available to us again. So we'll talk a little bit more about the Health Rhythms protocol, which is what I'm going to be using for the classes going forward. So for now, we're going to just talk a little bit about drumming. So I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but the highest form of evolution is a drummer. Did you know that? Drummers are the smartest creature. Well, okay, maybe I'm overplaying this, but I thought this was kind of a cute little picture. And it's got smushed down a little bit there. Sorry. No, so it says evolution with a question mark. So I'm not so sure if this is true, but I like to think it is. So anybody can be a drummer, even Animal from The Muppet Show. And it's an amazing thing. Now, if you look at this picture of drums, I've got a little sign at the top that says, "Does this picture make you feel excited to try something new?" Now, when I look at this picture, I'm like a kid in a candy store. I want to go and hit every single one of those drums, and I want to hear what they sound like, because every drum is unique. It has its own personality, its own signature sound. So um, if you're looking at this and thinking, "Oh my gosh, it's going to be so loud," this might not be the webinar for you. But if you're excited like I am to hear what these sound like, then come with me. Come with me. So this is just a little portion of all my drums, and I've been hoarding drums lately is what I do. Drum therapy goes back a long, long time. Ever since the beginning of recorded, well, any kind of history that we're aware of, drums have been part of it. You're looking at like some Mongolian shamans, and there's healers in West Africa. It goes back a long, long way. They realized a long time ago that the rhythm of the drum had some kind of therapeutic benefit. And some of the oldest illustrations from Egypt and Mesopotamia, they have pictures of people playing drums in some kind of ritualistic type activity. Hope you can read that, okay? So these are just old pictures on tiles back in Egypt and whatnot. So it goes back a long, long way. It really does. So it's nothing new. However, it still is kind of new if you think about it. And in particular, for people with Parkinson's disease, we've never really made a connection between drumming and Parkinson's and trying to help people with Parkinson's. There's been a lot of talk in the last 4 or 5 years about exercise and Parkinson's, and I've been there for every single new adjunct that has come forward. I've taken advantage of it and worked with everything that we've discovered. But I think this is something new that has really kind of been untapped, and I feel like it's my job to find out as much as I can about the connection between drumming and Parkinson's. So like I say, it's nothing new as far as history goes, but it's kind of new in our world, which we'll discover a little bit more about. Rhythm is powerful. Now think about the very first sound you probably heard was your mother's heartbeat. So right in the very, very, very beginning, we had that bump, 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 bump. We had that sense of rhythm, and we are tied to rhythm in our everyday lives. I'm not sure if you're like me, but if you're driving your car and you have your windshield's going, I start to hear a rhythm. I hear a rhythm in everything, and your brain automatically tries to find a rhythm. Yeah. So and this is kind of interesting. Every single one of our ancestors, doesn't matter where we're from, if you trace it back far enough, we were sitting around a fire communicating through percussion, rattles, and drums. I still do that. I still have campfire sing-alongs with my friends, and I hope you do too. Drumming, it gives us an experience. We can be free to connect with ourselves and with others around us. We create community by drumming together, which is, we're going to talk a lot about the community and how the importance of community for people with Parkinson's and how drums can help us to get there. And it is a universal language. Doesn't matter what language you speak. You could be in a room of people from all over the world, be hitting your drums together, and you will find a common rhythm that is above and beyond any kind of language that you may or may not know, which is really, really, really critical. And like I say, it's been around for thousands of years. Drums have been a trusted conduit of energy, and it does connect the mind and the body and the spirit. We're not going to get too out on a limb as far as that, because we're not going to talk about chakras and the third eye and all that kind of stuff. I'll try to keep us grounded as much as possible, but I just want you to be aware that there's a certain kind of power that comes from playing drums together. And I'll talk a little bit more about an experience that I had the other day in our drum class. It'll kind of define what I'm talking about there. But the drum is a guide, it's a teacher, and we're going to be talking about drum circles. Essentially, what we're going to be doing within the next 7 weeks together, if hopefully you're all coming on our little journey with us, is we will be doing a drum circle, but instead of being in the same room, we'll be connected through our computers. I'll be the first to say it's no substitute for the real thing. I get that. But it's better than nothing. And it's a great introduction for many of you to see if you enjoy the experience. So that is all coming up, and we will be, think of it as the world's largest drum circle all throughout the province. So what is a drum circle? Sorry, oh boy, it's kind of hard to read that type there, but that's me sitting there in my music room, and there is actually a circle. You can't see everybody else; you can just see three of them. But I brought these wonderful people together, and it's essentially a drum circle is it's an activity where a group of people come together and led by the facilitator. You can see Doug on the left there. Looks like I'm yelling at them, which is pretty typical. Play louder, hit that harder, and we just come together. And we use drums, sometimes one, but I quite often will have them use 3 drums at a time, and we'll create our own kind of music together. And it's just a really enjoyable experience. So that's just a little picture of what it looks like. And drum circles are fun. Now, the 2 gals on the left are part of my drum circles. They both have Parkinson's disease. They've been with me for years. First, they came to my power moves classes, and then I started doing rock steady boxing, and now I'm doing the drumming classes, and they stick with me. It's fantastic. So that's that relationship community that I'm talking about. That's so important. So, and as you can see, they're having a good time. It's all about having fun, and they do. And that's George, Ada, on the far right. They've got the matching color tops, and George is such a good sport. He's a hubby that comes out and plays the drums with his wife. It's fantastic. So let's just talk a little bit about some of the general therapeutic effects of drumming. Now, this isn't for people with Parkinson's per se, but for anybody, and this is across the board true. And it really does reduce your anxiety and stress. That's the one thing people will find after they finished playing drums together for the class. They just feel less stress. And studies have shown a couple things. It does help to control some chronic pain because it's a focusing technique, playing the drums. Studies have shown that it does boost the immune system. And in fact, they have used drums in hospitals with people who are going through cancer treatment, for instance, and they do find it actually increases the cancer-killing cells in the body, and it does boost the immune system. They can measure that in different ways, and they have. So that's really exciting to me. And also releasing negative feelings, blockages, and emotional trauma. Living with a chronic illness like Parkinson's, you deal with negative feelings, blockages, and emotional trauma all the time. So the drum becomes a conduit. It's a way to release some of those negative feelings and just feel better. Get rid of that stuff that we're holding on to. And you cannot be in a drum class and not be present. It's what I tell everybody is when you walk through the door to come into a drum class, I say the same thing to you folks when you turn on your computer and sign into the class. Put everything away. Put your thoughts away. Focus in on what you're doing right then and now. Don't worry about this or that or what you're making for dinner or what happened last night. Just erase all that and just focus in on the here and now. And that's the beauty of this class. You can just do that and just focus in. Alrighty. Now this is Barry Bittman. He's one of the co-founders of the Remo Health Rhythms. He's a neurologist out of the States, and he's the guy that has done all the heavy work as far as general therapeutic benefits of drumming. He's looked into it probably more than most people have, and he's the one that discovered that the group drumming increases the cancer-killing cells. So they have a specific, Health Rhythms does have a specific kind of area where they focus directly on people living with cancer. Also with adolescents that are at risk, like the kids that are really struggling in life, and they find that the drum circles really help them to get their heads on straight and focus, and done some wonderful things with the drumming, which is why I'm so excited to try this out for people with Parkinson's, because it can have a lot of the exact same kind of benefits, which we'll talk about. I'm getting ahead of myself, which I always do. But so have you ever thought of drumming as a potential therapy for people living with Parkinson's disease? Chances are you never have thought about drumming for people with Parkinson's, but why not? I'm going to show you today why you should think about that. So I'm not a doctor, although I could probably tell just by looking at somebody if they had Parkinson's. I've met so many people with Parkinson's in the last 12, 13 years, and who have all become my friends. It's just a fantastic group of people. But so I'm not going to get into too great a detail, but Parkinson's, as well knows, it's a neurological disorder. It pretty much affects every part of your body. Everybody is different how they respond to it. It's not life-threatening, but it is progressive, and our main goal is to try to delay the disease and slow the symptoms down as much as possible. We know that medication helps. We know that exercise really helps. And now I'm hoping that some of this rhythm and percussion and drums can also be another therapy, another quiver in your air, another arrow in your quiver. I always get that backwards. One more thing that you can kind of add into your life to help fight against the symptoms. Because the most important thing is to be able to live your life to the fullest advantages as you can, and do things that make you happy and bring you joy. That's what it's all about. So I'm going to show you why drumming is so important for that. Some of the non-motor symptoms, cognitive challenges. We all know about Lewy bodies, the dementia that goes along with it. I'm dealing with that with a lot of my boxers, and it's very difficult to see people that go through that decline, and it's very frustrating for them. Memory problems come along with that. Obviously fatigue, which can be tied in with the sleep problems as well. Anxiety, I think a lot of people are just dealing with a lot of anxiety and stress, just living with the disease itself. And then of course, in depression and apathy, they're different, but they kind of go hand in hand. That apathy is the really tough one, because it's sometimes you're just stuck in place and you need to find a way to move forward and get off that couch and move forward. And I know how frustrating it can be for caregivers dealing with the apathy of their partner, and they might get frustrated and angry, which we know is not the right thing to do, but it's difficult not to. So yeah, it's very difficult. And of course, the numbness and tingling and other little strange little things. Parkinson's is a weird disease, and we're all dealing with different aspects of it. Absolutely. And there's also, of course, the motor symptoms, which are probably more common because that's what people see. A lot of people will initially go to a doctor if they notice a tremor, perhaps on one side of their body, maybe just in a finger or in their hand. They start to notice a tremor that won't go away, like a resting tremor. Quite often it'll disappear when you move, but as soon as you stop moving, the tremor's still there. And then just some other strange things like the overall rigidity that starts coming into your body that perhaps wasn't there. I hear all the time someone's talking about a shoulder. They think they've injured their rotator cuff, or they go to the doctor or a physiotherapist for a shoulder injury, and they're thinking it's an injury, but it's not. It's a symptom of the Parkinson's that's creeping in. Then, of course, akinesia and bradykinesia, which is the reduction of movement, slowing of movement, and even complete lack of movement that's caused by Parkinson's. We're all fighting back against that all the time in our Rocksteady classes. And the drumming classes, there's lots of movement as well. And of course, the big one is the postural instability, which is, causing these falls and balance problems. And that's a real worry. Absolutely. So those are some of the main motor symptoms. I'm not going to get much more involved in that, but just so we're all on the same page. So wouldn't it be great? She looks very excited, doesn't she? If drumming was beneficial for people with Parkinson's. That's what we're talking about. So I want you to meet this doctor. He had a hunch. I like this guy. He's with the Johns Hopkins Center. I got very excited when I learned about Alexander Panteliet. He's an MD, and he had the same thoughts that I had, but because he's a neurologist, or not a neurologist, but he's a doctor, he was able to kind of follow through on it. So he thought, maybe I'll come up with a study and we'll just see if there is something to back his, the suspicion that drumming is good for people with Parkinson's. So he recognized that drumming has long been part of traditional healing rituals, and he was curious. So he did design a study to assess the feasibility and effects of a twice a week group using West African drum circle classes, which is essentially what most drum circles use, West African type rhythms and beats. So he did it for 6 weeks, and he wanted to look at the quality of life and the symptoms, the motor findings, cognition, and mood. So he kind of wanted to look at lots of different aspects of people's lives, not just their movements, as an example. So how did he do this? He used the PDQ-39 test, which I'm sure lots of you are familiar with. It's a questionnaire that where your clients will report measure of health status and quality of life. It's the most frequently used questionnaire, and so that's what he did. It does. It assesses across 8 different dimensions of daily living, including relationships, social situations, and communication. So you may be thinking, well, wait a minute, relationships, social situations, and communication, but all those things are really important for a happy and healthy life. Drumming is not going to cure Parkinson's, but it's going to make you a happier person. That's what this doctor thinks. That's what I think. At the same time, it does address certain symptoms as well. But there's all kinds of intangible kind of feel good things that happen that come out of these drumming classes that he wanted to test. So it isn't just perhaps motor symptoms. There's all kinds of non-motor symptoms as well. So sorry, it's a bit hard to read that. So there was definitely an improvement in gait freezing. So there was less freezing. I'm sure many of you have experienced that wonderful freezing that happens. I'm being sarcastic here. Just that inability to get moving if you've been standing still for a little bit of time and then just trying to get the locomotion going again. It's very frustrating, very embarrassing for people, especially if they're in public. Like if you're standing in line and it's time to get going. If someone doesn't know anything about Parkinson's disease, they're probably going to be watching you and thinking, what's wrong with that person? So that's a really encouraging thing. So there's a real motor symptom improvement, less freezing. And also, you can't read my words here. Sorry, this kind of got changed. Improvement in mobility, perhaps not to the degree of this fellow. I don't expect that to happen, but so he definitely sees there definitely was improvements in overall rigidity and mobility, which is really important as well. And walking speed improved. That is really, really important because they have looked at people with Parkinson's and they found a direct correlation between your walking speed and how quickly your condition was going to decline. So if you can maintain your walking speed, it's like a indicator of other aspects of health for yourself. So that was really exciting. So those are 3 motor symptom improvements. And they all kept a diary, which is really great because they wanted to kind of tap into their brains a little bit and see what they were feeling like. And this one participant was talking about how isolated they felt living with Parkinson's and never really had a chance to socialize before. So this gave them an excuse to kind of get up, get their clothes on, get out of the house, even took 2 buses and, really got out there and enjoyed, felt like they had a purpose, just going to the classes. So most of you may already have all kinds of social activities you take part in, but not everybody does. And, maybe this is one way that people can find something that they're looking for. They maybe didn't even know they were looking for it. But so this person found that they really enjoyed just the actual physicality of getting up, moving out, and getting out of the house. This next one's hilarious. It's they learned the importance of connecting to the group in a joyful way. It's not the mastery of the drumming technique. That's not important, but the flow of energy. It was great to be in a drumming circle instead of a drooling circle. Isn't that great? Being anchored in the present. So, wow, what an incredible statement this person has made. Like they really got it. All these different things they're talking about. It's not about being a musician. You do not have to be musical at all. We're not learning musical notation. We're not learning notes. We're learning how to tap on a drum in different types of rhythm. And it sounds very primitive, and it sort of is, I guess. Maybe it's attractive to our primitive brains, but it's something that everybody is capable of doing. Some people pick it up quicker. I'm always amazed in my drum classes when I've had people coming for weeks and they're still trying to learn a little bit more difficult African beat I'm showing them. Then someone shows up for the first time and they nail it right away, and they're getting the dirty looks from the other people. But it's doesn't involve a lot of musical talent. So this person realized that, and they also realized the importance of how you're in the moment when you're in the classes. You're anchored in the present. It's fantastic. Now, this is, I wanted to try to impress you guys, seeing, I'm not a doctor, but I thought I'd throw around a couple of big words just to, impress you. So this is really key, the rhythmic entrainment. Entrainment is a term that is used in music therapy a lot, particularly in drum therapy. So Dr. Panteliet, he realized that the rhythmic entrainment was really an important aspect of the motor improvement that was happening. Let's talk a little bit about what rhythmic entrainment is. It's actually a physics term, and it's used to explain 2 objects that are moving together, how they use less energy than 2 objects moving in opposite directions. So even when they're moving differently, if they're placed next to each other, over time, they'll start to move together. Let's use a real life example. I'm sure like you've all seen a flock of Canada geese fly overhead. Well, the first goose will be flapping their wings in a particular pattern. The other geese will actually mimic it or entrain to fly exactly the same way as that head goose. Head goose. I'm the leader of the geese. So they're all flying together, and pretty soon their wings are all flapping exactly together. It's less tiring, more efficient for the geese to do that. In drum circles, this type of entrainment happens all the time. If I was to say, okay, sit down, follow me, we're all just going to start playing. I'll start playing a little beat, and then everybody kind of plays along with me. They might not do exactly what I'm doing, but if you were to stand on the side and listen, it would sound like we're all kind of on the same wavelength. We're all kind of playing the same, which is really great. Taken to a larger, like take it outside of the box and think about your life as being in sync with the world around you. People that are dealing with chronic illness, such as Parkinson's, brain injuries, Alzheimer's, stroke, there's a feeling of being out of sync with the world around you because of that. So music therapists will use entrainment to to help people become more aware of their personal rhythms and to work with the world around them. It all sounds a bit confusing, I know, but it's a good feeling. That's what I would say about entrainment. And Dr. Panteliet recognized the importance of kind of being in the same groove, and they're not quite sure what's going on, why it's so beneficial, but it really does help you to feel better. So when you can start to match up your drum beat with the other people, you get a lot of benefits from that. So that's what they're talking about with entrainment. And a simple example we do all the time that we'll be doing in the classes is I'll do a simple little beat, then I'll have you answer it back to me like a call and response. So it'll be like bump, 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 bump. You'll be hitting your drum. So you're all working together and training with me. So that's what it's all about. Another big word, emotional salience. So let's just read this together. The emotional salience provided by music making in a group environment is likely an important driver of the quality of life improvements that the participants actually recorded. What this means is how positive of emotional response did you have to the drum class? And they found that it was a memorable experience for them to take this class. So it makes it feel worthwhile and helpful. That's what they talk about. And the doctor recognized that that's an important thing. Think back in your life about things that have happened that were good and things that have happened that were bad. And I bet you can remember lots of both of those things, the good times and the bad times. They're emotional. They have a high emotional salience. And that's what we're hoping to achieve with the drum classes. It'll be something that you remember and it'll feel worthwhile. All right. So just to conclude about the study, they definitely found some improvements and some reversibly improved quality of life in patients with PD. Like most studies, this is just kind of the tip of the iceberg. I think he would love to do, and he's still continuing to do more work in this field. He would like to look into it a little deeper. This gives us a good start, is how I would describe this initial study. There's definitely something there, and they're not quite, just like with Rocksteady Boxing. They know that it's effective. They know that good things are happening. They're still trying to figure out why and what exactly it is about the boxing training that is so beneficial. You can look into the different details, like there's lots of movement in every direction. There's lots of quick movements and powerful movements and all those kind of things. But not to get off topic, but the boxing is very much like the drumming in that it's rhythm. It's also about rhythm, and it's also quite often we'll punch together in the same time to a beat, and that's entrainment again. So we're all kind of working together, connecting. So it's very much like it. But instead of hitting a boxing bag, you're hitting a drum. So like to call it striking, not hitting. But so there are some similarities there. So the study was very positive, and there's more work to be done. So let's talk about a few benefits of group drumming for people with Parkinson's beyond what we just discussed. So first of all, I absolutely love that drum. It's a piece of beauty. So I really like to meet these two. I bet I get along with them great. Drumming makes you happy. It's impossible to come to a drum class and not have fun, because you do release endorphins. All these great, you get these feelings of euphoria. I mean, who needs endorphins more than people with Parkinson's, right? When we're not producing dopamine. So it's a wonderful thing. just be happy for a little bit of time and let everything else go. Releases negative feelings. Um, it's a form of self-expression. The drum, like I said before, is a conduit. So you can use the drum to express how you're feeling. Quite often in my drum classes, I'll ask them to sit down and just describe how their morning went through the drum. And sometimes it'll just be like a couple of little beats, and sometimes it's it had a bad morning, right? So it comes out through the drum. And it's kind of a strange thing to ask some people because not everybody's comfortable expressing their feelings. I get that. And it's really important to kind of just try to just, get just let yourself go on the drum, let yourself loose on the drum. And it's really enjoyable when you give yourself permission to do that. And there's a physical stimulation of hitting the drums. It can remove these negative blocks that we have, and we often say hit the drum like you're hitting Parkinson's. But you don't want to hurt your hands. We try to keep it under wraps a little bit, but it's just a really great way to release some energy. Back in high school, feels like a long time ago. I was fortunate to have a wonderful family that allowed me to play my drums upstairs in my bedroom, if you can imagine. And my neighbors were kind enough, but if I'd had a bad day, I'd go home and I'd spend an hour or two playing my drums. And gosh, I felt so much better after it. And it's the exact same process that's happening here and now. You can hit the drums and you still get that wonderful release. I love this lady. I'd love to meet her. She looks really, really happy to be playing this drum. I don't know what her story is, but she looks fantastic. Um, they're talking about personal transformation, and not for everybody, but for maybe you don't know it yet, but maybe this is your way to kind of find your way to self-express by being a drummer. Everybody can be a drummer. When you drum in a group, you get feedback from the other people right away, and it's always positive. Nobody goes to a drum class to criticize other people. We're all supporting each other, and gosh, it feels so great. So you can really get into yourself, into your inner self, and you can expand your consciousness while being part of a community. And that's where I want to go next with this little talk. I want to talk about the importance of community, for people with Parkinson's particularly. And it's hard to read up top, and it says drum circles are physical. You burn 270 calories every half an hour. Well, there you go. You get to have fun and burn calories. Now, these people look awfully young and vibrant, so maybe we wouldn't burn quite as many calories as they would, but there is a physicality to playing the drums. That's the point I wanted to get across. Okay, so let's talk about community. I hope that everybody knows who this pretty gal is. This is Dr. Lori Mishley, and she's become a bit of a hero for me. She is out of Seattle, Washington, and she is a naturopathic doctor and also a nutritionist. And she now has a clinic where she only works with people with Parkinson's disease. So, applause for Dr. Lori. How great is that? She used to take a lot of people in to talk about their particular symptoms with Parkinson's. She's so darn busy now that she has created a little online school. And I hope that some of you have taken advantage of that. I think she charges about $10 a class. Her most recent one was on nutrition and Parkinson's. But she's working so hard to try to improve the lives of people who are living with Parkinson's. And as most of you know, she does have an ongoing study where she's asking people to connect with her on her website and take a little study where you actually go through a bunch of questions. I can't remember exactly how many questions, but there's a little slider bar that you move to the right or to the left, and a bunch of different questions that ask. She really gets into some personal questions, bathroom things, all that kind of stuff, and you have to answer it. And then she looks at the kind of food you eat, how active you are, how much time you spend alone with other people. And then she has created over the years this wonderful kind of summary of all of her findings, and we're finding out some amazing things. But one of the biggest things she's recently been talking about is how important it is not to be lonely, not to spend time alone. It's so important for people with Parkinson's to reach out, create community, and get to know other people and not hide away at home. So she said that is the single biggest predictor of rate of Parkinson's progression, is if you answer true to the question, are you lonely? So you don't want to be at home, stuck at home. You want to go out and have fun with other people. Don't hide away. So community, the importance of community. Well, drum circles provide an opportunity for participants to feel connected with others. It alleviates self-centeredness, isolation, and alienation. That's great. And some more studies, they've shown that group drumming creates a sense of connectedness with self and others. So these are what people have been reporting when they take these studies. These are some of the positive experience they're reporting back on. Helps us to experience being in resonance with the natural rhythms of life. Rhythm is all around us, as I've said from the beginning here, and provides a medium for individual self-realization. Is one word they don't use too is confidence. Um, I think that's what happens is I see drummers become more confident with the way they're striking the drum, and that can carry over to a confidence in their movement, confidence in their outlook. It's really important, and that's what my job as a facilitator is to back up these people and give them the tools they need to get that sense of community and self-realization. Yeah. So you may be asking, well, this sounds interesting. Are there any drum classes out there for people with Parkinson's? Well, there are. They're not called Parkinson's classes quite yet. One of my big goals in life, and I've been working with a friend, I've recently become an ambassador for the Davis Finney Foundation out of Colorado. And I met some wonderful people down there. And I'm only the second, there's only two of us in Canada right now as far as ambassadors for the Davis Finney Foundation. And so I met a wonderful gal who lives in Bellingham, Washington, and she has had some experience and interest in drumming for people with Parkinson's. So together we're trying to create kind of an ongoing class program that will be specifically for people with Parkinson's. It's in its infancy right now. We've got a long way to go with it, but we've got our eye on the prize. We know what we want to create. We want to create a drum program that's specifically looking at the symptoms, the non-motor symptoms and motor symptoms of people with Parkinson's. But for now, there are other programs that can be adapted. And what I'm doing is that I am personally going to be adapting the Remo Health Rhythms program to make it a little more Parkinson oriented. So this is the program that I recently became a trained facilitator for. It is an evidence-based program that looks at takes a holistic view. And they naturally are doing the things that are important for us with Parkinson's, like promoting socialization and healthy, non-strenuous workouts. And it also builds bridges, fosters and nurturing support, camaraderie, self-respect, and respect for others. So it falls right in line with all those important things that Dr. Panteliet discovered as well through a study. And again, they think of the drum as a tool for communication and personal expression. So there's also this wonderful group called Drums Alive, and I believe they have in Vancouver and different locations. They do have some Drums Alive classes. They used to have one here on the island near me, but I don't believe it's going right now. This is more like aerobics meets drum circles. So they use these big stability balls that they blow up. I'm sure you maybe sat on one one time in your life. You sit on a ball and you strike a ball. Sometimes you sit in a chair or you can sit on a ball, but they have the big balls and they use the balls as a drum and they use drumsticks to beat it out. But it's choreographed with music. So it's quite a bit different than my drum classes where we create the music ourselves. This one is more it's going in time with the music, and they'll reach out to the right, reach out to the left, and they'll do different things. They'll stand up and do some little foot movements. And so more like an aerobics class. But again, it ticks off all the boxes as well. It's fantastic, but quite a bit different. But it does do all that kind of crossing the midline stuff that's really important. Right side and left side, we do all that in my drum classes as well. And you're working crossing the midline all the time, so you work in both hemispheres of the brain. Really important. So Drums Alive is another excellent program to look into, especially if you like the movement aspects of the drumming. So we will be utilizing the Remo Health Rhythms Protocol 7-week drumming class coming up starting Wednesday, July 15th. I understand that I think it is full, so I hope that most of you have already signed up for it. So it'll be like health rhythms with a Parkinson's twist is essentially what it's going to be. You don't have to have a drum. I would highly recommend it, though. They're not that expensive to find, and quite often if you go onto like a Craigslist or Kijiji or even on the Facebook marketplace, quite often you'll see a drum for sale under $100, which is really nice to find one under $100. They don't have to be wooden. They could be, they make them out of kind of fiberglass or plastic type materials. Or you could even use, like, go to Home Depot and get one of those big buckets and turn it upside down. You could use that. Or even just use your desk if you're at a computer, for instance. It doesn't have to be a fancy drum. But if you feel like this is something you would like to continue with, I would recommend getting a drum. And you can always sell it if you find you really don't enjoy it, because they're always in demand. Absolutely, the drums. So are you ready to give it a try? All right, I am. I'm very excited to be bringing this to you folks, and I want to thank everybody for joining us today. It's a strange world. We all seem to be on computers these days, and I'm sure most of you have been involved in Zoom meetings and whatnot in all kinds of different environments. I'm probably on one about once a week. It's crazy. We should be so proud to be Canadians and be in BC, because we have done such a great job. And I take my hat off to Dr. Bonnie Henry for being such a wonderful guide for us. And all the people that I took my course with from the States, I've been in contact with them ever since. And when I took my remote health rhythms course, and they're really struggling down there, and they're really scared, and they can't believe what a great job that we are doing up here. And I can't wait to, I'm really happy that I'm back to the point now where we are doing live classes. We're really physically distanced. We're wearing masks, and we're outside for the most part. So together is always better, but this is better than not being able to come together. So we will be doing this in a online format. So I'm going to open it up. I hope I answered most of your questions, but I know we're going to have you perhaps type some questions into your into the chat room, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that I'm able to answer. Just keep in mind that this is all new to me as well. We're discovering things as we go along, and the sky's the limit. I think there's great potential for drumming and Parkinson's. So again, I want to thank Alana and Shelley who I've been talking with the Parkinson Society. They've all been so great to me. I'm really happy to have this opportunity to present this to you. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Doug. You've really provided valuable information on drumming and its health benefits and how it can really bring people together and promote a sense of community also. So thank you so much. And as Doug said, he's happy to answer any questions you have. So you can type those in the chat box. It should be to the right of you from the presentation. And he can read your question aloud and answer it for you. And any comments you have about the session as well, please feel free to type your comments.
Can we try a few beats? Well, hello, guest 139. Absolutely. So I imagine some of you may have a few drums there, so I'll just show you a few basic beats. This is one of my 247 drums that I have. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have that many, but it has become a bit of an obsession. This is an African djembe drum. It was made on Mudge Island, which is off of Vancouver Island, by one of my friends who leads drum circles as well. So I'll show you a couple of beats here. I won't be able to hear you, but we'll just kind of stick to the regular 4/4 time. What I can do is just angle it down a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so essentially we're going to be talking a little bit about the sound of these drums. You can get a different sound in the middle, and you can also get a different sound on the outside. So there's a deep tone and an outside tone. So a couple of the basic beats that we do are it's just even real simple, just often just start with what I call a mother beat. I'm hoping everybody can hear that okay. That's another just typical beat, and we try to make it a little bit more African style, we just kind of make that accent a bit different. So if you notice, I'm just taking my right hand and I'm just playing that 4/4 beat, and I'm bringing my left hand in to do something a little bit different. So already we're using the right and the left hand side of the body. So that's just a little example. And one other quick thing I'll show you is we do this little thing called the triplet. So we go right, right, and then left, left. So right, left, right, left. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right, left, left. And at first people start pulling their hair out because it feels really confusing. And then we start to speed it up, which makes them even more confused, but it's fun. So that's one little homework tip I always have people do is go right, left, left. Then we can start to that's what it sounds like fast. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. But we keep it slow. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And after you've finished playing that for a little while, it's like your neurons in your brain are firing, and it feels like your brain's on fire. It's a really neat feeling because you really have been working hard at keeping that right, left. That's just a little example of one of the simple things we do. And then the last thing I'll just say before we go back to the questions is I quite often, and I'll have this for you folks in the class, I'll write, you have your homework of what you can practice, and things like right, left, right, left. Then a deeper tone, right, left. So there's a whole little series of kind of basic djembe hits that we do that you can work your way through. Then as the weeks go by, we can make more complicated type. Oh, you're welcome, guest 139. So informal. So we go through that. It's almost like learning some of the rudiments of the drum beats. Somebody asked me, guest 166. Is the Remo Rhythms being offered anywhere in the Lower Mainland? Not to my knowledge currently, no. Unfortunately, there was nobody at the most recent group that was getting certified as a trainer. However, there are some wonderful people in the Lower Mainland, and what I can do is send you that information. Perhaps I can send it to Alana, and because I'm sure you probably have all the information, Alana, for like the email information. There are some wonderful drum instructors in the Lower Mainland that I'm not sure if they're doing the Remo rhythms particularly, but they are doing some wonderful classes that would be really beneficial for it. I have a question here. I find it hardest to keep a beat up, and my right wants to start all the time. Can you expand on that a little bit, please? You find it hardest to keep a beat up, and my right hand, I suppose you mean, wants to start all the time. It's like it has a mind of its own. Is that what you mean? So guess 396. If you know who you are, guess 396. That's the question. You find it hardest to keep a beat up, and my right wants to start all the time. I think if you're meaning I think if you mean like so it sounds like you don't have a lot of control with your right hand. Is that, if that's what you mean? I think with time, it's like anything. It's like muscle memory starts to kind of kick in, and you will find that as you drum along, you'll be able to you'll be able to find that you're more in control of your actual physical movement of the hands. That's what I've been noticing with my people with Parkinson's is a couple of things. One, they're hitting harder than they used to. At first, they're tapping so quietly you can barely hear them, and then with time, what happens is you will find you get more control, which is the same as anybody starting to play the drums. When I first learned to play the drums, you're hitting things in the wrong spots and everything, but just like anything with practice, the muscle memory improves, and you find that it's you will definitely improve. So guess 396, you're in Nanaimo. Dave, wonderful, welcome, Dave. I had another question. Will I be offering another session of the drumming series later in the year? Absolutely. If people are interested, I will absolutely keep it going. I'm really hoping that what I do in a physical classroom will relate into the visual virtual world the same way. It'll be different, but I'll be learning also as we go. But I'm hoping that if it goes over well, absolutely. And I would also love to come to the next time there's a conference in Vancouver, if I'm able to come over and pack my drums over with me and set up some drums so I can be together with you folks when and wherever that will ever happen again. It's so discouraging because we really are social beings, and I was so excited to get back to doing my live groups again, just to have that instant interaction with people. For me, that's a crucial part of being human. But I understand it's also the most important thing is for everyone to stay healthy right now. Absolutely. But so I'm going to do my best to try to translate my classes into a really good virtual kind of situation. So, and I'll be looking for your feedback the whole way through. We'll do this together. It'll be fantastic. Someone says, he guessed 703. Thank you, Doug. I'm excited to start. Your enthusiasm is contagious. Thank you very much. I really appreciate hearing that. I am told from time to time that people enjoy being around me because I am a hopeful person. I am an optimistic type person, and hopefully that'll rub off in the classes. Guest 139. Is there enough of a wait list? Are you willing to offer another class? Absolutely. We even looked at potentially opening up the numbers, but we thought that it might be a little hard to with more than 25. It might be a bit difficult to run the class, but absolutely, if I will talk to the wonderful gals at the Parkinson Society. We'll see what the wait list looks like, and I'd hate to turn anybody away, put it that way. We'll find a way to make it work. Yeah. So I'm glad you guys, hopefully everybody can hear the drum okay. I was having difficulty the other day when I was practicing kind of a fake Zoom class with a few of my colleagues, and unfortunately part of my sound was disappearing as I was hitting the drum. They couldn't hear it, so I'm hoping everybody could hear everything that I was doing. Yeah, that's great. So I'm just making sure I haven't missed anybody here.
Yeah, if you have any feedback to give Doug about like the sound, or if you could hear the drum or not, that would be great. Feel free to type that in the chat box too, because that just helps them troubleshoot and fix that issue if it's there. But Doug, I could hear you no problem. It was very clear.
Okay, so Big Marker's working. I'm hoping that it'll work on Zoom. Yes, someone has asked if the classes will be on Zoom. I have a pro account on Zoom, so I can take unlimited, more than I can't remember what it is for the free one, but I can take as many people as possible. But I am going to be doing it through Zoom, and as I was talking to Alana earlier, there are some YouTube videos out from this. It's called the Drum Facilitators Guild, which I'm a part of. They've actually looked into Zoom, trying to make it work as best as they can for people who are doing drum classes on Zoom. They've got some little tips and techniques, so I'm going to study that really hard in the next week, make sure that I've got everything set up as best as possible. So yes, we will be on Zoom. Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully most of you have experienced the Zoom before, and I'll have it set up so I can actually see you guys. It'd be great to see the people behind the wall here. I was telling Alana that I do a stroke recovery group where I play a ukulele, and I had to put the words of the music up on the screen, and all I could see was the words in front of me, and I'm playing a ukulele to a screen, and I have no idea if people on the other side, if they're actually playing or if they're still there. It's so strange. So it'd be great in Zoom. I'll actually be able to see you guys, and we'll be able to talk. I'll open up your microphones so that we can actually converse back and forth, which is a bit difficult sometimes, but there's ways to get around that. But I'd love to be able to hear your voices and hear you hit your drums. And I can't stress enough if you have the chance to find a drum, go and grab one. I downloaded the website. I think it was who did I give it to? I don't think it was to you, Alana. I think it was to Shelley. There is a wonderful place in Vancouver. Now, I'm assuming a lot of you are probably from the Lower Mainland, but there, I will send that website also out to you. And there is a place that it's called Groove Masters Percussion, and they have a warehouse in Vancouver where they have just drums everywhere, and they're less expensive. And I'm trying to get a discount for anybody that's involved. If you just mentioned that you're part of the BC Parkinson Society, you get a discount on the drum. But they do often, if you look on those used places, you will find drums quite a bit less expensive. You should be able to get one for under $100, which is like what, 2 coffees at Starbucks, right? It's not that big of a deal. But no, if you can get a real drum, I'd highly recommend it, and you can always sell it again down the road if it's something that you don't like. If you live in a location where you can't make a lot of noise, they do have special drums at Groove Masters Percussion that have a softer kind of a top, and perhaps even if you find like your hands can't take a lot of beating on any kind of a surface, the drum skins are a little bit different. Like this is a natural African goat skin, but they do make a lot of synthetic drum covers as well, and it almost feels a little bit more like rubber, or more like a vinyl kind of feel, and it's very soft in your hands, and it has a much quieter tone than these big drums. So that is something that a lot of people enjoy using as well. So I'll make sure I get that website information out to you guys, but start looking around for used drums as well. Definitely out there. Yes.
Doug, there was also a comment on another pod here, the question and answer. Excited to begin. Any fellow Ontarians joining us? Looks like you have someone from Ontario.
I thought this was just going to BC, so how exciting is that?
Yeah, I'm surprised to see that, actually.
Oh, that's fantastic. Anybody else from Ontario? Good. Anybody outside of Vancouver area? Anybody in the Okanagan? They're also shy. I assumed that most people would be from the Lower Mainland, and I'll be happy to guess 396. Where are you from? I'd be happy to send out the information for the local drummers in your area, because it's really great to try this live as well too. So, and like I say, I would love to come over to see you as well sometime. So Dave's in Nanaimo. Yeah, welcome, Dave. You're not far away. I was doing my Rocksteady boxing classes in Nanaimo for a while down there too, but we haven't started back up since the COVID kind of hit. So wonderful. Yes, you are. Wonderful. Courtney, 703, fantastic. There's actually a wonderful drummer named, I believe her name is Monique, and she does things up in Courtney. She's been involved in Royston, I believe, at the little hall there in Royston, and they do drum circles and whatnot. And she also did the Drum Alive, the Drums Alive classes for quite a bit. So she's someone you would definitely want to get in touch with as well. So yeah, that's wonderful, Courtney. And I think they also go down to the Spit in Comox, and they have drum circles on the beaches in the summer at this beautiful spot. It's called the Goose Spit near Courtney, and it's near Comox, and it's just a wonderful place. Yeah, to get together. Absolutely. Well, it's been such a thrill for me, guys. And any final questions? Like I say, I've got a little bit of information to get out to everybody, and I'm so looking forward to seeing your happy faces and connecting with you. Gosh, I guess it's next week. It's come up so quickly. That's great.
Well, if there aren't any more questions, I guess we can wrap it up. It's just a couple minutes before 4. Doug, thank you again. That was amazing. That was so interesting. I'm really looking forward to attending.
Oh, you're going to be attending. Fantastic. Good.
I'm only going to be observing, though. I don't think I'll be drumming because I'll be hosting, or I'll be observing, but...
You will not be able to not drum. You're going to have to drum with us. That's just how it has to be. You won't be able to help yourself.
Actually, you have a point there. I probably will participate. But yes, I'm sure everyone is looking forward to it. And if you want to send me that information, or is this information that I can post in the chat box in the first Zoom class?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so maybe just email that and I can bring it to the Zoom class. Was it, you said something about a store with a discount and some other programs or something?
Yeah, so the information I wanted to get out was, first of all, to let everybody know who is available in the Lower Mainland and other regions in British Columbia, where there are drum classes that are going on. That's not to say that they're going on now. I'm talking about during normal times, and this definitely are not normal times. But there are people out there that are doing classes already. So it's great to connect with those people if you have an interest in drumming. That was one of the things, and the other one was to let you know about the warehouse in Vancouver. That's a little bit unique. It's hard to find a drum warehouse anywhere else. They provide drums right across the country for schools, for instance, and lots of places. And he gave me a really wonderful discount on all my drums when I initially bought them. Yes. We do have a question from guest 871. They're raising their hand. Should we unmute their microphone perhaps? Do they want to ask a question?
Sure, we can try that. Just trying to find them here on the list. Oh, okay. So I'm going to unmute. I think we should be able to hear you now. Did you want to ask your question? Okay, it's unmuted again.
I think looks like they might have left.
Okay, maybe it was by mistake.
Perhaps, yes. So I'm going to type my email address.
Great.
And if anybody wants to email me directly, please do. If you have any questions specifically that we didn't have answered, go right ahead. This is what I enjoy most in life is answering questions about drumming. So please send me a message, and we can communicate directly that way. Absolutely. Or if you want to give me a phone call, you could phone me 250-927-4595. There it is right there. So help yourself. You're not bothering me at all. Go ahead. The more I can learn from what you guys want, it'll really help me to make the classes as best as possible. Yeah.
Doug, there was a couple other questions in the Q&A. Are there any classes in Kelowna? And someone else said, thanks, looking forward to starting. Just a small taste, felt great. I'm using a pail upside down.
Well, I'm glad they're using the pail upside down. That's very smart. It wouldn't work so well. Sorry, I have a bad sense of humor. Classes in Kelowna. That's a very good question. I will look on the Drum Guild website, which is the only place that lists anybody who's registered as the register is essentially like a think of it like a place where anybody who's a drum facilitator runs classes. They pay an annual fee and they get listed on this website that shows all the different drum facilitators all over the place. So I will see who's on there as far as Kelowna goes, because I don't know off the top of my head. But I'm really hoping it's a large community up there. I imagine there's something going on in Kelowna. Absolutely, I will find out. Absolutely. And also someone said they had a set of bongo drums. Fantastic. Bongo drums are great. That works really well. It does not have to be like an African djembe. It could be any kind of drum. And I see there's guest 211 lives in Victoria. Fantastic. And we have someone from Vernon too. That's fantastic. I used to go up to Vernon to Coldwater and participate in a paddleboard race across Lake Kalamalka every year, but it was canceled. It's been canceled this year, I think. So we usually go up every year to Vernon, and my aunt has had a cabin on the Okanagan Lake for the last 40 years just near Vernon. So I love Vernon and I love Kelowna. We live in a wonderful province. Yes. So that's great. I think we've got everybody answered. Nobody else said they're from Ontario. So I guess there's just the one. That's great.
Love Lake Kalamata. Did I pronounce that right?
Kalamalka. It's
It's in Vernon, right?
It's in Vernon. I think it means lake of many colors. because it has the most incredible blues and greens colors when you look at it from above. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have been there. It was fun.
Yeah, we get dropped off in the bottom of the lake, which is Ohama, I believe it's called, and we race 18 kilometers to the top of the lake. It's a really great day. Yeah,
Nice.
but I'm really getting off topic. I'm sorry. I always do that.
So, and I think that was partly my fault as well. So thank you so much, Doug. I think those are all of our questions. And like Doug said, feel free to email him if something comes up for
Yeah.
you later that he can answer. And then other than that, we will see you hopefully at the drumming classes on Zoom.
Awesome. Thank you again, Alana, and to the entire staff of the BC Parkinson's Society. They've been so good to me over the years, and I'm really excited to have this opportunity. And thank you all for joining in, and we'll see you in a week's time. Take care.
Thanks, Doug. Bye. Bye,
Take care.
everyone.